Media.
Welcome back to Behind the Bastards, the podcast that we're all listening to right now. You're listening to it as a recorded thing that's been turned into an ear product for your ear digestion, and I'm listening to it because I can't help but listen to my own voice. It's a curse. Here to be cursed with me on this glorious week, obviously my producer Sophie, and the great Kim Kelly, author of the book Fight Like Hell. Kim, you are a wonderful journalist. You focus a lot on the labor movement, and you have a new special edition of your book coming out soon, don't you?
I do. It just came out, the Young Readers edition of Fight Like Hell, which is called Fight to Win, Heroes of American Labor. I thought it'd be really funny to call it Fight Like Heck, but they did not agree with me.
No,
so
that is a pretty good bit.
So it's Fight to Win, but it's out. It's like really cheap. It's in paperback. It's summer reading time. Tell your teacher friends, tell your little radical children. It's, it's out.
I like Fight Like Heck.
In the summertime, when the weather is hot, you got labor on your mind.
Yeah.
Always.
This is an iHeart podcast. Guaranteed human.
This is Dr. Joy from Therapy for Black Girls. A fresh, sparkling kitchen? Yes, please. The scrubbing it takes to get one? Not a favorite. That's why you'll love Dawn Power Wash Dish Spray. From everyday dishes to the toughest messes, it makes cleanup twice as fast. Less scrubbing, more living. Find Dawn Power Wash Dish Spray at your favorite retailer. Dawn is a proud sponsor of the Elton John Impact Awards, honoring those who have helped shape a more inclusive and compassionate world with their artistry, advocacy, and unwavering commitment to equality. Don't miss the Elton John Impact Awards podcast, available June 1st on the iHeartRadio app and everywhere podcasts are heard.
Do you want to find a stress-free way to buy your next car? Start at CarMax and shop your way. And if you want to browse with confidence, get pre-qualified online with no impact on your credit score and shop cars within your budget. From luxury cars to family rides, CarMax has options for almost every price range, including more than 25,000 cars priced under $25,000. So, hey, want to get started? Just head to CarMax.com for details and get pre-qualified today. Want to drive? CarMax.
There's a difference between liking a house and actually getting it. Redfin is built to make up that difference and close the gap between finding and owning the home for you. Redfin agents close twice as many deals as other agents. So when you find a home you love, you're not a step behind when it comes to making an offer. That means less watching great homes disappear and more focus on the one you'll call home. Redfin helps turn saved listings into real addresses. Get started at redfin.com. Own the dream.
Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile with a message for everyone paying big wireless way too much. Please, for the love of everything good in this world, stop. With Mint, you can get premium wireless for just $15 a month. Of course, if you enjoy overpaying, no judgments, but that's weird. Okay, one judgment. Anyway, give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. Intro rate first 3 months only, then full price plan options available. Taxes and fees extra. See full terms at mintmobile.com.
You know who else is a hero of American labor, Kim?
Oh, no.
Well, no. That's kind of the opposite.
I'm curious about what you're going to hit me with, man.
Yeah, we used to, back when the show was newer and we were like more on the fly with everything, there was a degree to which like I'd be like, okay, I definitely am doing this topic this week. Sophie would rack her brain, try to figure out like, okay, what guest, is the like, should we pair with this? And we still do that sometimes, but also just because of the size of the show, we're booked so far in advance that sometimes I'm like, ooh, okay, we'll see how this topic goes with this guest. This wasn't something I would have like artificially done, but this pairing of topic and guest is exactly like it's perfect, because this week we are talking about activist investors / activist shareholders.
Oh boy.
Specifically one of these guys. We're talking about one specific kind of these guys he's sort of the avatar of the activist shareholder, right? And do you know what that term means, Kim? I'm sure you do.
Activist, it sounds sort of self-explanatory, right? Like shareholder with a lot of fucking opinions.
Yeah, basically, right? Like it's someone or a group, because these are often like a term for like a hedge fund. Basically, will be an activist shareholder in a situation where they're going into a company and they very suddenly buy up a sizable chunk of that business, enough that they're able to put somebody on the board or maybe even force the company to take a new CEO. And they're called activists because this individual or this group that buys their way into having influence in a company this way does so because they have some sort of plan, right? Generally, they see, okay, this someone's making these really obvious mistakes. And I think if I fix just this couple of mistakes, the company will become rapidly more valuable. And then we can make a really quick profit, right? Because we buy in when the stock's $20 a share, we fix a bunch of problems, the stock goes up to $30 a share, we cash out and we make a fuckload of money, right? That's kind of like the most basic version of what this is, right? And this is not like a super new thing, but the term is on the newer end of things, right? This is to some extent, this is a term we've created to kind of replace the old term that we were using for people who were doing similar things. And the theory is that like an activist investor or an activist shareholder should like the fact that this exists is a good thing, right? Like that's the theory, that because these individuals or groups that are quote unquote the activist investors make companies stronger, right? Like they go in and they fix these kind of like low hanging fruit problems. Sometimes they do much more extensive fixes, and the company comes out the other side of it more profitable, right? That's the idea. That's how this is supposed to work, right?
So this term was trending like a few years back with the Disney, when like what's his name, Peltz, tried to take over the Disney board and do a hostile takeover, and then they were calling him an activist investor, and I was like, he kind of just sounds like a billionaire that's like trying to get richer. Like I don't really understand the activist part of it, but your explanation now makes more sense. I didn't look into it enough because I don't care about this man, but you know.
They're literally activists because they literally have a change or changes that they want to force the company to make.
Makes sense. Yeah. Interesting.
And this, again, this is a term that's kind of become more common since the 90s, but there's a way in which it's kind of an evolution of the old corporate raider. In a lot of ways, some people will say that basically the term activist investor is people plastering over the term corporate raider because that has a lot of bad connotations. But if you remember our episodes on Jack Welch, right? Like the former Monster CEO Jack Welch, like that. These are the guys who in like the 80s, they got really famous for like they'd come in and they'd buy up a company or buy their way into a company that was struggling, or even that just like wasn't as profitable as they thought it should be, and then they would start selling off assets, spinning off, whatever big business unit they could into a separate company to do an IPO to get quick cash.
That's just
and
every
then cut
media
the
company
original
now.
company to the bone. Exactly.
Cool. I'm a vice refugee, like so many other journalists out here. I remember how that works.
At a certain point, we went from calling these people corporate raiders to calling them activist investors. Now, theoretically, it's because they got the activist investors are nicer than corporate raiders. They're trying to leave something better behind. And that's kind of there's a bunch of different studies, all of which are kind of similarly, I don't trust the language that they use to sort of like make the claims that they're making. But there's a number of studies that will all argue like, no, these activist shareholders leave, afterwards, the companies that we're working on much stronger. This is very different from corporate raiders. They're not just laying off tons of people and like causing, spinning off business units and doing all of this, causing all of this chaos that makes them personally make a profit and fucks up a bunch of people's lives. They're also creating stronger companies. And that's extremely debatable, whether or not that's a real change, or if people just started calling corporate raiders activist investors. Like that's kind of a big debate, so to speak. And I think there's a degree to which I think we started using the term activist investor because in the 90s, corporate raiders were like the bad guy in half of the movie. Like if you remember the fucking movie Hook, right? Robin Williams' character is doing that job. He's like a corporate raider, and the whole point is that the film compares that to piracy because, like Peter Pan, he's become a bad person as he's entered the real world. So they were like, we got to get better PR. Like we're the bad guys in every movie in the mid 90s. We have to like make a change.
Yeah, everyone saw Office Space. They were not rooting for the Bobs.
Yeah. They're not like it just wasn't a cool thing to be anymore, right? So come the late 90s and the internet age, the business guys don't want to be called raiders anymore. So the sexy thing is to find yourself at a stressed business and do like the business equivalent of like renovate with the goal of unlocking value by getting rid of old failed management and pivoting away from outdated business practices. And again, the reality is they're still usually doing the same thing. They're like selling off or spinning off assets and conducting mass layoffs, but it sounds unlocking value sounds a lot better in a press release. Yeah. Unlocking value.
That just sounds, man, where's like the evil school where people learn to say,
right.
like evil PR school? It's probably not journalism. They're somewhere. They're learning these linguistic tricks.
I wonder, Kim, because, like in our field of work, periodically you're writing an article, your editor will be like, oh, that was a great turn of phrase. You did a really good job here. Maybe you'll even like share it around in like a work Slack if like somebody, one of your colleagues puts out an article and you're really proud of it. And everyone's like, wow, look at that. That was a really good, sir. That paragraph was really beautiful. That phrase you used was perfect. I wonder if there's that kind of thing for like monsters where they're like, holy shit, unlocking value? That's a fucking Mike, you nailed it, man.
Dude, I think that's just what LinkedIn is. Like that's where this is happening.
Yeah.
That's their Slack.
Yeah, that's today the workshop for it, right? Yeah, that's out in public where they pride each other on coming up with new ghoulish ways to talk about destroying people's lives. It's awesome.
Jesus. Yeah, it's I love it. You love to see it. It's great.
And
it's good for society.
Idea of how like rapidly activist investors take over and kind of like push
Can't
out
get over that.
It's so great.
Airplane food type shit.
In 1998, according to Star Tribune reporter Chris Ceres, in 1998, fewer than 20 hedge funds in the U.S. described themselves as activists. The first of these guys got so much good PR, though, and made so much money that the idea spread rapidly. And by 2008, there were more than 200 hedge funds that described themselves as activist. Today, more than 45% of companies on the S&P 500 have been targeted by activist investors in one form or another, activist shareholders, activist hedge funds in one form or another. And one study I found suggested that about 60% of the time when an activist shareholder like buys their way in to a company, businesses make changes in response to demands from that activist shareholder or investor. Now, why does this all matter, right? Now, this matters because while a lot of these activists, sometimes they do make some of these things do work out. We'll talk about a couple of these cases where the company does wind up stronger, where it was a situation where some smart guy was like, oh, these people are making one really dumb mistake. And if I buy my way in and enforce them to stop, they'll be worth more. That does happen sometimes, but it's at least as common for these activist investors to just kind of slash and burn a functioning business for quick money. And the problem is this whole thing, this idea of being seen as an activist investor is really appealing to a specific sort of narcissistic tech guy who, number one, has an infinite pile of money, and number two, is pretty sure he knows how to do everything better than the people currently doing it, right? Like, have we heard it? Can we think of any of those guys in the world right now who have fucked things up recently?
Again, they're pumping them out in factories somewhere.
Yeah, and it's a deep, deep sickness that runs through our society at this point. So, obviously, the guys who think this way, as we've all seen living through this in the United States, are wrong a huge percentage of the time. Again, you can find a suspicious number of studies that will show activist investing is good, but it's always because, like, well, if you average it out on the long term overall, there's like technically a long-term gains in stock price for a majority of these companies. And that kind of leaves out the fact that looking at it that way is a very incomplete measure of success. Speaking of averages makes this process sound like less of a roll of the dice than it is for people in the companies being affected by these kind of takeovers. And I'm going to quote now from a 2015 study by David Benoit and Vipal Monga, published by the Wall Street Journal. The Wall Street Journal examined that question with a comprehensive look at what happens to large U.S. companies after an activist arrives. The conclusion, activism often improves a company's operational results. and nearly as often doesn't. Slightly more than half, or 38 of the situations in the journal study, led to better shareholder returns than industry peers for the period studied after the activist went public. In the end, the median campaign beat peers by just under 5 percentage points. At the same time, companies in the study slightly underperformed industry peers in terms of growth and earnings, and slightly beat them on profit margins. As for capital spending as a percent of operating cash flow, seen as a measure of reinvestment, of the 48 companies in the study with good data for that measure, 25 raised spending or left it at the same level, while 23 lowered it. In other words, it's a flip of the coin. Like it's certainly, there's not strong evidence that this is like a good thing or that this usually works out. And when it does, it's just because like, well, there's a long-term stock price benefit. That doesn't say anything about what life is like for the workers, you know?
No, where are all those benefits going? Not to all the people that got laid off.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just weaponizing math.
It also leaves out the fact that like there's some situations that go really well, and there's some situations that go fucking catastrophically wrong because some activist sticks their proverbial money dick into a situation that they don't understand and makes everyone's life worse. And probably no single man better embodies that whole picture of the activist investor, both as success and as fuck up, than Bill Ackman. That's who we're talking about really this week, everybody.
Oh, man, the Twitter guy.
The Twitter guy. That's right, everybody.
That'll be his legacy, being a dickhead on Twitter.
I needed to dress this up a little bit. I wanted to do just an episode on Bill Ackman because he's a huge dick and he's really annoying, right? And I think he was kind of wavering as to whether or not I thought he was like a full bastard, like someone who really deserved, like someone who's bad enough, not just bad, but entertainingly bad and deserved to be covered, you know, the way we do on the show. And one of the things that kept me from doing it is that Bill is incredibly online and super petty. And I just don't want to deal with a fucking social media fight with this fucking weirdo billionaire freak. It's just not worth the hassle. So I figured what I'll do is I'll broaden the scope of the episodes a little bit to make this be about activist investors, and I'll try and keep Bill's name out of the title so that if he does like a find and replace thing, he won't notice it immediately, and I won't have to deal with an annoying guy on the internet.
Oh my God. Or me. Oh my God. You've ruined my life, Robert.
Right. So we'll see how long it takes Bill to realize, or if he ever does. I think we're probably well under his threshold of giving a fuck about.
How many times a day do you think he Googles himself?
He must have people for that.
I think he does it himself a lot, but also I think he's got a lot of fires to put out.
Yeah.
So I don't know that I think we're high up on his list. We'll see. We'll see if we kind of slide through the flack here, or if we wind up having to deal with an annoying fucking guy on social media. It's not the worst thing in the world. I just wanted to make it a little bit less obvious that we're just doing Bill Ackman episodes.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, it works with the whole obfuscation of activist investors. It's an episode about them, not this one specific guy.
Yeah, not this one specific guy who's the most annoying of the breed. Yes. William Albert Ackman was born on May 11th, 1966 in Chappaqua, New York. I think that's how it's said, something like that.
Hillaryville.
I'm probably doing it a little wrong. Yeah, Hillaryville, right. It's a little hamlet about 30 miles north of the big city. And today it's got about 2,500, 2,600 people live there. You know, it's not a big town, but it also, the fact that Bill grows up here doesn't mean that he's like a small town boy growing up close to the land, right? This is an affluent area that he grows up in, and he grows up very affluent, right? His family is very comfortable from the jump. Chris Series describes Bill as coming up, quote, the younger of two children born to a family steeped in the commercial real estate business. His father, Lawrence Ackman, is chairman of Ackman Ziff Real Estate Group, a New York-based real estate financing firm. So he's got, not just does he come from like money, but like to call Bill's dad Larry a major figure in finance would be putting it like mildly. Larry is a significant guy, right? He himself is the son of Herman Ackman, who is the founding partner of the real estate group that makes the Ackmans rich. So Bill is like a third generation rich guy, right? His grandpa starts this real estate company that his dad runs, and they are both very successful doing this. Larry becomes president of his dad's business in 1968, 2 years after Bill was born. He was made CEO in 1977 when Bill would have been 10 or 11 years old. Simon Ziff, Larry's protege, describes Bill's father this way. He lived his deals and knew them better than his clients often did. He was an animal and never failed. So you might see, like, kind of take from this, Bill grows up with like something he's going to grow up with something to prove to his dad, right? His dad is like a legendary figure, and you can kind of tell that Bill grows up in awe of his father a little bit. Is sort of my interpretation of things, if that makes sense.
Family business, like family business of exploitation and making money. Like you can't fuck it up. You can't be the Aikman that ruins the whole line, that sullies the bloodline.
No. And you also, you know, my dad, my grandpa, like my dad made money in my grandpa's business, right? So my dad is a Nepo baby. I'm a Nepo baby, but I don't necessarily want to be a Nepo baby in the same industry, right? Maybe I want to like break out and try to prove that I'm like, you know, special too, that like I'm not just a rich kid, you know? I really see a lot of that in Bill's upbringing.
Sure.
Poor little rich boy, the classic.
Yeah. And now, by all accounts, Bill is really close to his dad. He and Larry have a good relationship. Basically, you know, the entire remainder of Larry's life. I think he dies in 2022. And Larry talks, like a lot of Bill's childhood, he's hearing stories from his dad about their family and about like his dad's dad and their great grandfather, who was like Abraham Aikman, the first member of the family to move to America. He's steeped in these stories about like how hard his family members, his ancestors had to work to like become rich and successful. Per an article in Forward, which is the website of a Jewish nonprofit, here's how Larry tells that story. My grandfather came to this country at 18 in 1887. He left Russia to avoid conscription into the Tsar's army, a 25-year service. My father used a little cart and rode across the border on a horse to Austria. He learned to sew and took a boat to the castle garden in 1887, right? Like, that's the we were going to be conscripted into the Tsar's army, and we fled the country, and my dad learned how to sew, and he gradually like made his way into the United States, where he started a business. You know, that's like the family legend of the story, right? And it is a very classic like immigrant story. Now, that article I quoted from in Forward was written about an event, this like big dinner that Bill and his dad, Larry, hosted in 2015 at the Center for Jewish History in New York City. And based on some of the things Larry said that night, because they talk a lot about their you know, Bill's upbringing, and Larry talks a lot about the family. So this is a lot of my information on kind of what I assume Bill is raised hearing. I think these stories that Larry is telling this group about his family are a lot, in part because they say that this is like the kind of shit that I was telling Bill when he was growing up, right? I raised him on these stories. Here's a quote from the Pershing Square Philanthropy website. Bill's grandfather, Herman, initially tried to make a career as a songwriter, peddling his tunes on Tin Pan Alley, said Larry. He'd get $100 a song and $150 for a great song, and he sold maybe 10 or 15 songs in about 5 years until he could see this is no way to make a living, and went into his uncle's real estate business, services business, based on 149th Street in the Bronx. His biggest hit, Put Your Arms Where They Belong, sold 750,000 records. So,
that's pretty good.
That's weird. I didn't expect that. Yeah, so his dad's dad does in between, like, so their great grandfather moves to the country, starts a clothes factory. Grandfather grows up in it, but doesn't want to do that business for himself, becomes a songwriter, is weirdly successful for a while, and then gives that up to get into the real estate business. And I did find that song, Put Your Arms Where They Belong, because I was just sort of like, it's not, but I don't want to, I was considering playing it because I think it isn't very good, but the only version of it I have is a recent recording from a lovely YouTube account called Sheet Music Singer, and it's just like a nice person who performs old sheet music, right? So you can hear all these like old songs that the original radio recordings probably don't still exist for. So I don't want to like shit, I don't want to shit on that person's musical stylings. They're just trying to fulfill a useful historical role. It's not their fault if the song is bad, but the song is bad. right? And I wasn't going to spend a lot of time on it until I saw Words and Music were by Lou Davis, Henry Sampley, and Herman Ackman. In other words, 3 dudes wrote this song together. And now I got to read to you how the song opens. I dreamed alone till arms unknown embraced me and held me so sweetly. Thrilled by your touch, they taught me much, and now I'm yours completely. They brought me love in a night. 'Twas a love that is called love at sight. And I don't know how you interpret that, but I read this as 3 men had a beautiful experience together and wrote a song about it. And I think that's nice. I think that's lovely.
Yeah, good for
They
them.
brought me love in a night. Love in a night.
I mean, close working relationship, a lot of late nights. I mean, I immediately thought of Ghosts, but I mean, I do listen to more heavy metal than Tin Pan Alley classics. So
yeah, embrace me and held me so sweetly. I dreamed alone till arms unknown embraced me. That could be Ghosts.
Right? Like it's
Maybe they got fucked by ghosts.
Incubus, succubus vibes. Like, you don't know what was going on back then.
That's right. Either way, I thought it was nice.
It's nice.
Beautiful expression. You know, you got to express yourself. You get loneliness epidemic. You can't keep it all locked up.
That's right. That's
gotta
right.
Put it out there. Make it someone else's problem.
Instead of continuing to write beautiful songs about making love to ghosts, the patriarch of the Ackman family starts a real estate business and gets rich as shit. And we all have to deal with Bill Ackman now as a result, which is a bummer.
What could have been, you know? He could have been part of a beautiful musical family.
He could have. He could have been the Bob Dylan of... I guess we already have a Bob Dylan. I don't know what he could have been. Yeah, Bronx real estate Bob Dylan. So during that speech that I've quoted from, Larry also talked about how when Bill was a kid, he worked hard to drill good business ethics into his son because his own father did the same to him. This is what Larry recalled of, his own father and how he was raised. Dad came home and told stories about interesting clients, worthy of a documentary. He recalled Sarah Corain, an immigrant from Palestine and an entrepreneurial lady. When she was a little girl in Palestine and the fishmongers would run out of paper, she took all of her schoolmates' workshop papers and sold it to the fishmongers. Sarah came to the U.S. and went into making second mortgages, owning properties, i.e. the Delmonico building, which she ended up selling to Donald Trump. So... these are the stories Larry grows up with, and these are the stories that he tells Bill. Bill is hearing stories about, the lady who sold the Delmonico Hotel to Donald Trump, all of these hard scrabble tales of, refugees who come from nothing and get crazy rich. This is the manna that he is, raised with in his brain. And as far as I can tell, Larry loves telling stories. And because he's also got a head for business, these stories are always like business parables. And so that's just like Bill's... we talk about kids who grow up raised by Star Wars or fucking Indiana Jones or whatever. Bill is raised on these stories of entrepreneurs getting rich and successful and changing their families' lives. That's his whole childhood milieu, right?
Yeah, just ultra capitalist Grimm's fairy tale vibes.
Right, exactly. That's a very good way. Ultra-capitalist Grimm's fairy tales. Now, in comparison, I haven't found anything at all about his mom, really. Well, very little.
That seems about right, given the whole deal.
Yeah. You don't hear a lot about Ronnie Posner. That's his mom's maiden name. One account that I did come across from Larry, so this is Larry talking about his wife, is that she once collected thousands of signatures and lobbied to convince their local government to extend a railroad line in their hometown. After telling the story, Larry quipped, "Activism is genetic," referencing Bill.
What?
So... again, I'm guessing that means that she had a personal way that she benefited from the railroad line being extended, I guess.
What if she was just a real nice lady surrounded by all these demons trying to do something nice? We'll never know.
Maybe she was. We'll never know. But it is telling, that's the way they think about activism. And that's how Bill thinks about activism. Activism is like a thing you do so that you profit, right? One way or the other. I think that is how he looks at it.
Activism is.
Right. Now, you know who does love to profit, Kim?
Tell me. Everyone? No one?
No,
Bill Ackman?
Sponsors of this podcast. I mean, Bill Ackman does love to profit.
It's
and so the sponsors of this podcast.
It's our sponsors.
Which might be Bill Ackman. No way to know. I hope not. That would be awkward, but it's possible.
Guys don't like talking about ED, but if something's been off in the bedroom,
You're not alone, and you don't need to wait longer than you need to take action. Getting real treatment is simple, and through Hims, it's 100% online. At some point, you've got to stop blaming stress, sleep, or just getting older. If bedroom performance is in question, it's probably crossed your mind to do something about it. The good news, you don't have to jump through hoops to fix it. Hims connects you with licensed healthcare providers online, giving you simple access to legitimate ED treatment options from home. No awkward appointments, no pharmacy lines. You just complete a simple online intake form, and a provider will review your information and determine if treatment is right for you. If prescribed, your treatment ships directly to your door in discreet packaging. To get simple online access to personalized, affordable care for ED, weight loss, and more, visit hims.com/BTB. That's hims.com/BTB for your free online visit. hims.com/BTB. Prescription required. See website for details and important safety information. Sildenafil is the generic version of Viagra. Viagra is a registered trademark of Viatris, a Viatris Specialty LLC. Hims is not affiliated with or endorsed by Viatris.
This is George Severis
and Sam Taggart
from Stradiolab. Okay, picture it. Your apartment after a Saturday workout. The gym bag, the couch, maybe even the car. Mi amor, it's a full novella of odors and not the glamorous kind.
That's where Febreze comes in. Boost, spray, spritz, plug, or clip. It doesn't just mask odors, it fights them, honey.
Want long-lasting scent you can control? Try Febreze Plug Scent Booster today. With the adjustable intensity dial, you can control the scent to match your mood. Plus, thanks to its fade-defy technology, your home stays first day fresh for up to 50 days.
Need a quick car rescue? Clip a Febreze car vent clip and map your ride to freshness. And don't forget the fabric refresher. While you can't cram that cushion in the washer, you can top off every pillow fluff with a spritz of fabric refresher.
Because home should smell like you. Fabulous, fresh, unforgettable.
Febreze is a proud sponsor of the Elton John Impact Awards, honoring those who have helped shape a more inclusive and compassionate world with their artistry, advocacy, and unwavering commitment to equality.
You won't want to miss the Elton John Impact Awards podcast, available June 1st on the iHeartRadio app and everywhere podcasts are heard.
Let's talk about modern home shopping. It's sort of become a fun side hobby, right? Scrolling listings at night, dreaming about kitchens you've never seen, or backyards you haven't even stepped foot in, all from the comfort of pretty much anywhere. Redfin knows a lot of people like you want to own, but are stuck in this browsing mode loop. That's where Redfin flips the script. With listings that update within minutes and tours you can book right from the Redfin app, you can see your dream home the moment it appears. Now, liking a listing is easy, but actually landing it, that's where Redfin comes in. Redfin has over 2,200 agents with local expertise. And Redfin agents close twice as many deals as other agents. That means they want to help you win, not just window shop. Redfin is built to help you go from just looking to wait, this could actually be home. So become the newest neighbor on the block. Visit redfin.com to start finding and start owning. That's redfin.com.
Have you ever wondered why some people seem to age slower? Like they figured out some secret the rest of us missed? Well, it turns out someone actually did. And it starts with a melon. Yep, a melon. There's a rare French melon that stays fresh 4 times longer than the fruit you and I buy at the store. Scientists discovered it produces an extraordinarily high level of a super antioxidant called SOD, the kind that helps defend skin from the visible signs of aging. And get this, Meaningful Beauty partnered with world-renowned French cosmetic specialist Dr. Jean-Louis Sabat to capture that melon's youth-preserving power in a skincare line you can actually use every day. So if you're tired of trying products that all promise the same thing, this one is truly different because it starts with something nature designed to stay young. Subscribe today and get the complete introductory system for just $49.95 at meaningfulbeauty.com. You'll also get 2 free gifts, free shipping, and a 60-day money-back guarantee. Visit meaningfulbeauty.com and order today.
And we're back. So, Bill grows up rich. He's got access to the best resources available, one of which is just living in Chappaqua, right? This is a good place to grow up. He attends Horace Greeley High School, which is a public high school. In 2008, it was ranked the number 46 high school in the nation and the number 7 high school among those with open enrollment. Probably the best known story of Bill's young life comes from his junior year in high school, which is 1984. And here's how it's explained in a 2013 Vanity Fair article by William Cohen. He wagered his father $2,000 that he would score a perfect 800 on the verbal section of the SAT. The gamble was everything Ackman had saved up from his bar mitzvah gift money and his allowance for doing household chores. I was a little bit of a cocky kid, he admits, with uncharacteristic understatement. Tall, athletic, handsome, with cerulean eyes, he was the kind of hyper-ambitious kid other kids loved to hate, and just the type to make a big wager with no margin for error. But on the night before the SAT, his father took pity on him and canceled the bet. I would have lost it, Ackman concedes. He got a 780 on the verbal and a 750 on the math. 1 wrong on the verbal and 3 wrong on the math, he muses. I'm still convinced some of the questions were wrong. And that says a lot.
Man, he's really not doing any favors for the cerulean eye community.
No.
Like, people already think we're soulless. We just got this guy just piling it on.
Fucking narcissist. And that's so, like... everything you need to know about Bill Ackman as a person is that this is the kind of guy who's honest. This is not a joke. An honest-to-God reaction to hearing he got questions wrong on a standardized test is, well, the questions must have been wrong. Right? Like, that's Bill Ackman. And you're going to see this from him over and over again. This reality is wrong. If it's not working the way I said it was going to be, that's impossible. It has to work the way I said it. The way I predicted is the only way things could go. And when things don't work out that way, he flips his fucking shit. It's very funny. And that's going to be... It's also this need he has to make these bets with no margin of error based on this like insane confidence of his. It's going to work out more often than it should, but it also goes wrong a lot. And usually his dad's not there to like let him off the hook. That's an important thing to kind of note. I'm sure his dad was trying to be a responsible father here, but that's maybe the wrong lesson to teach him, is that you can make dipshit bets all the time and nobody will like really call you on it if you're wrong in a way that will hurt you. Maybe that's not the right lesson for Bill to be learning at this point in his life. I don't know.
Oh my God. What a weird family. What a weird way to like,
yeah.
What a weird kid. Like, I'm going to bet my father, who is an adult man, all the money I have that I might.
It is weird that you'd take that at all. That is bizarre parenting, right?
Yeah. Like think of it, if I tried to do my dad didn't even know what, my dad didn't barely finish high school. He didn't know what the fuck was going on in my school. Like, oh, you got some numbers, right? Great. Good for you, kid. Like,
yeah. I mean,
I'll take all your money.
Yeah, taking your money, like a bet, is a really weird. It's one thing to be like, okay, I'll give you, you'll get this, or I'll do this for your allowance or whatever. If you improve on your test score, I don't know. I'm not against the idea of like trying to motivate a kid or whatever, but gambling on the SATs with them is insane. Like that's a really strange thing to do with your son.
Like, that's not even like, I don't even think. It doesn't seem like he's the kind of dad that was really, from all I've learned, he was like, all right, make sure you go in there and study and like, go be a bookworm, kid.
He seems like a straight-laced kind of guy, but he's a gambler. You get that bit from him. Like none of the stories about Larry, and Larry loved to gamble, but I kind of think Larry was a gambler because Bill's a gambler. And the fact that they're doing this when he's a kid says a lot about the relationship and about Larry, I think.
$2,000 in 1980s money? That's
a lot of money.
Like
he's a rich kid, but still. Yeah.
Like, wild.
So, Bill graduates the year after this, and he winds up where you'd expect, at Harvard Business School. I only found a couple fun anecdotes from that period of Bill's life, but one of them is pretty devastating, and it was posted on the webpage for the company that he owns. Like, this is something Bill allowed to be put out as part of his, like, PR, basically. This is from the Pershing Square, that's his like, hedge fund, the Pershing Square Philanthropy website. I can't believe he let this get published. According to Bill, Larry helped set him up with the woman he married. Women in business school had issues with dating men in business school, Bill said, or maybe they just had issues with me. There's more to the quote, but like, holy shit, I gotta take a second.
That's amazing.
Maybe Bill, maybe.
Gosh. Only honest thing he's ever said.
Yeah, self-aware.
Things improved the day he got a fax from Dad. One of those curly things that was a forward of a fax from one of his dad's clients, containing the phone number of a graduate design student at Harvard. When Larry called later, Bill had already set up a date with Karen. A couple of years later, Bill's dad told him if he didn't propose soon, he'd find a nice guy who would. Dad's a good negotiator, Bill said. That's how he meets his wife. His first,
beautiful love story
from a fax.
So his dad just bought him a lady. I was like, "Son, you're striking out. We got to get you a girlfriend." Like,
put him into a relationship.
Pull some strings. Karen sounds like a nice gal. Just get it done.
I gotta say, you hear about a lot of nepo babies. You don't hear about a lot of nepo husbands. Like nepotism got you married. Like that's something else.
That's very like vintage. That's very like royal,
classic,
like 19th century, before the whole romantic love became very business arrangement. Marriage as business arrangements. That Larry was thinking that's that old school, old world mentality coming out. Like, you need a woman, we'll get you one.
Yeah, and I should probably have a little bit of like, okay, Bill was probably joking a little bit with or maybe they just had issues with me, but I can't help but read that as like him thinking about that for the first time, where he's like, yeah, women in business school never date men in business school. And then he's like thinking back to all the guys and he saw like dating women in business school and was like, well, maybe it was just me. Actually, maybe that's not a thing.
But I'm sure you saw it as like, well, I'm too special. Like they couldn't handle me. I'm the golden boy.
It's important to eventually self-reflect on things, so I guess he did, kinda. We'll give him a point for that.
Will we?
I don't have any. I wish we had more good anecdotes from Bill's like youth and childhood, but yeah, that does imply a lot. Anyway, he graduates Harvard with his BA in 1988. His undergraduate thesis is titled "Scaling the Ivy Wall: The Jewish and Asian Experience in Harvard Admissions," and the paper starts with him comparing the experiences that Jews had trying to gain admittance to Harvard in the 20s with the experience that Asian students had trying to do the same in the 1980s. And we've talked a lot on the show about how, like, if you ever get a chance to, like, read a novel that a political pundit you dislike has written, or has written, you should do it because it's like a window into their soul. That's sort of the same with a thesis. You can tell a lot about where a young person's head is at with a paper like this. And I'm going to start. Here's a quote from Bill's thesis. As one of the oldest and perhaps the most notable of this country's academic institutions, Harvard represents the gateway to elite status and to making it in modern-day American society. One need only look at the disproportionate numbers of presidents, Nobel laureates, and chairmen of Fortune 500 companies who have graduated from Harvard to understand the power of the Harvard degree. As a result, admission to Harvard has become the target of groups seeking upward mobility. And from that, you can really see that's why Bill goes to Harvard, is because he wants to get guaranteed a spot in the elite, right? He's not, and he never pretends that he has a particular like intellectual interest, right? That like this is always about access. It's always about making the right connections and friends to him, which at least he's honest about that, I guess. And his thesis is comparing, he outlines how back in the 20s, there's like this massive soar in the number of Jewish undergraduates admitted to Harvard, and it causes a bunch of problems because like it pisses off the Gentiles, and Harvard's president changes admission requirements to restrict Jewish admission because he saw a lot of Jewish students as unassimilable. And his argument was that like if we keep letting more of them in, they'll break up the sense of elite identity among Harvard graduates, and there won't be this feeling of like we're all part of the upper crust together, right? And there's this attempt to talk about it in a woke way where he's like, and that'll make people more anti-Semitic, right? Like if we let too many Jewish people into Harvard, it'll ruin the upper class, and that will make people even more racist against them, right? So Ackman is laying all this out as hypocritical, right? And he accuses the administration of believing the image of the Harvard man would be diminished by the entrance of too many Jews. He builds up to an incredible point. Why does Harvard feel compelled to admit minorities? It appears that Harvard is more concerned with the campus mosaic than with what the colors of the campus spectrum actually represent. Considering the original intentions of affirmative action and other such programs to admit the societally disadvantaged, Harvard's policies do not seem to be directed to confirm the spirit of such legislation. Many of the minorities on campus are not disadvantaged. If Harvard were truly concerned with the disadvantaged student, rather than with its desire to maintain a positive public image for the media, we would see recruitment of more students from disadvantaged backgrounds, regardless of their color? Why is there no recruitment for disadvantaged Poles, Italians, and underprivileged Jews for that matter? Whose definition of diversity is Harvard applying? So he's concerned about this from the beginning after getting into Harvard. He's like, why aren't they letting in enough like poor white people? And again, it's like a rich white kid getting admitted to Harvard. That's a fascinating thing to take issue with. It really says a lot about him. Yeah. Yeah. Like it's pretty, it's such a weird grievance. Like, well, you're literally just like a rich kid who got into Harvard. Why are you concerned that like they're not letting enough poor white kids? They're letting too many like rich non-white kids into Harvard.
Where is this coming from? How many not rich white people does he even know?
Right.
What a strange thing to surface. Like, I'll tell you what the real problem is.
Shows me that he's hanging around a lot of kids who are complaining that there's too many non-white kids at Harvard. That's what I guess from that. Why else would you take issue with that sort of thing specifically? Yeah. So Ackman concludes that Harvard admits different groups of people for different benefits. Athletes because it makes the alumni happy. Legacies because it gets them donations. And minorities because they've been pressured by the government or public protest. So, and he argues like this is entirely self-interested morality by Harvard. And that's true. It is entirely self-interested morality by Harvard. But Bill doesn't point this out to condemn it. Here's how Puck News writer William Cohen describes what Bill learns here. Quote, change at Harvard all comes down to pressure, according to Ackman. So that's the reason he lays this out is not, the point he's building to isn't, and this is wrong. The point he's building to is, and so that's how you get Harvard to make changes, is you just, like, all you have to do is pressure them, and you can get them to stop or start allowing members of a specific group. So it's interesting. He's already thinking, as an undergraduate, what would it take to stop Harvard from admitting as many people that I don't think should be here? How can I alter who gets into Harvard? That's really interesting to me, that he's thinking about that from this point.
Yeah, it's like the genesis, the kernel of what he was going to become.
Yeah. This is going to be really relevant much later. But yeah, as you said, Kim, like this is like decades later that he actually has a chance to do something about Harvard admissions.
I mean, like I said, activism runs in the blood or runs in the family, right?
Activism runs in the blood, yeah.
Wow.
Maybe his mom was evil.
Yeah. I don't know. I found literally nothing else about her. After graduation, Bill went to work briefly for his father's company. So he spends like a summer working, at the family real estate firm. The Vanity Fair piece I quoted from earlier describes this as simply a stint working for his father at the family's commercial mortgage real estate business. But the article in Forward, describing that Ackman family dinner event, quotes Bill talking about this part of his life. Quote, Bill Ackman recalled, I couldn't get a job when I graduated from Harvard, so I went to work for my dad. That makes it a little sadder. But at least Bill's admitting that, right? Like,
it's a little sad.
I don't know.
Jeez.
While he's working on his MBA, Bill gets onto the rowing team for Harvard's business school. His team decides to pick shirts that year with dollar signs on the oars. According to Vanity Fair, at the annual Head of the Charles race, spectators booed the HBS crew boats, causing Ackman to defend the decorations in an opinion column in the Harbus, the business school newspaper. Let's face up to what Harvard Business School represents, he wrote. We spend 90% of our studies at HBS pursuing the maximization of the dollar. Why shouldn't our uniforms just be dollar signs? Because it's tacky. Because actually, Bill, even when people are just kind of self-interestedly concerned about money and don't have other interests, they feel bad about that, at least. Like you should.
Wow.
Wild.
Yeah. He really loves saying the quiet parts of things out loud. And then being like, why are people mad at me? And everyone thinks this.
Why don't people like this? And it's like, because it's almost as if he feels like, because he's so smart, if somebody is like offended or thinks something's bad that he did, it's just because they didn't think about it right. So if he explains how they ought to think about it, then they won't find it gross and like, no. I know, like, Bill, what you said there, I don't disagree with. Yes, Harvard Business School does represent soullessly maximizing the dollar. I agree. I don't misunderstand that. It's just gross. And like, even if that's what you want to do for a living, you should aspire to be slightly more than that, like in your extracurricular life, you know?
The SAT answers were wrong.
Exactly. So one of Bill's best friends at Harvard was David Berkowitz. This David Berkowitz is an engineering undergrad, not the son of Sam killer.
I was going to say,
Probably.
wow, that's an entirely different episode direction we're going in. I'm here for it.
I'm not going to say Bill Ackman isn't friends with the real son of Sam killer.
No.
I'm not going to say I can prove that this David Berkowitz didn't do the son of Sam killings. I can't prove that. Can you, Sophie? Can you, Kim?
No. I
There we go.
simply just don't know.
The burden of proof is on this David Berkowitz to prove that he did not shoot a bunch of people in parked cars in the 70s. I remember I watched the Spike Lee movie about the son of Sam killings recently.
Hell yeah. Perfect callback.
Shout out Spike.
Yeah. What a weird film. No one doesn't quite like Spike.
It's true.
So during that dinner event that Ackman hosted, Larry and Bill talked about what happened after he gets his MBA, right? So at this event, Bill's talking through, like, he graduates from Harvard the second time he gets his MBA. I worked for you for 2 years, he said to his father across the stage, then went to business school, and you wanted me to come back, and I came back for 1 week, then chose to go on my own. So that's what Bill claims at this public event. But then his dad is like, that's not how it happened. And says, you told me in your second year at Harvard, I'm coming back. I'm looking forward to it. And son, I was looking forward to it. Then you met David Berkowitz at Harvard Business School and created a hedge fund. So in his dad's version of events, he is set to come back to work and just sort of bounces to start this hedge fund. It's weird to me. Maybe Bill just forgot. Maybe his dad had it wrong. But I kind of think Bill felt the need to craft a slightly different version of this story, right? Wherein he comes back and he's working for his dad at the family business a second time, and it just doesn't feel right. And he has to make the change because that's a little more cinematic. I kind of think that's what Bill is doing here.
It makes him look a little bit more of an autonomous being. Like, I came back and it's nah, Dad, I got to go out on my own. I'm my own man now.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just, I think, a little more convenient of a narrative for him. So anyway, after graduation, Ackman and Berkowitz created their first hedge fund, Gotham Partners. Their first office was, according to William Cohen, a windowless office in Midtown Manhattan. Now, despite that, this was not a scrappy startup running on fumes. These guys, their first business is not hard up or anything. Per Cohen's piece, starting with $250,000 from Marty Perez, a college professor of Ackman's, and then the editor and owner of The New Republic, and the father of Vanity Fair contributing editor Evgenia Peretz, they raised $3 million. We did incredibly well for 5 years, Ackman recalls. Most importantly, in 2002, Ackman made a huge bet that MBIA Inc., the publicly traded municipal bond insurer, was fatally overvalued. The company protested that Ackman was trying to manipulate its stock price. Both the SEC and Elliot Spitzer, then the New York State Attorney General, investigated. Not to put it too impolitely, Spitzer told the New York Observer in 2011, but we put Ackman through the ringer. So, no charges are ever filed, but this isn't quite a nothing burger, right? There's never any conviction here, but this is a little bit more than Cohen describes it as being. I want to read a different summary of what happened.
I just want to say, Elliot Spitzer.
Side bastard.
E. Spitz. We love him. We'll talk about Elliot one of these days on his own here. But again, this whole incident isn't quite as much of a nothing burger as that description by Cohen makes it seem. And I'm going to read another description of what happened in the Minnesota Star Tribune. The investment firm wrote an article praising a company, prepaid legal services, then sold its stock. Ackman said he liquidated prepaid stock as well as all of its public investments because he was winding down his fund. So the allegation is that his fund writes an article praising this company, which then boosts its stock, and he then immediately sells the stock. And that's stock manipulation, right? Which Bill does a lot of similar stuff like this, and it's not illegal, but it's kind of sketchy, right? But this is very much in line with how Bill's whole thing is putting a bunch of shit out into the media to start whatever kind of stock movement up or down he needs to start happening in order to make his bets work, right? This is him starting to figure out, if you're going to be this kind of guy who you're trying to slide into a company and buy up a big chunk of it and then force it to make changes so that you can make a profit, it's not enough. It's not just about being an activist investor and convincing the company to make changes. It's about putting stuff out into the media so that people buying stocks see, oh, someone has a brilliant idea and they're fixing this company that's probably undervalued because it's making a mistake. And Bill understands from the beginning, it's just as important what you can get people to believe in the media as what you're actually doing to the company. That's not entirely about how much you can make the company function better. It's about what can you get people to believe you're doing to this company, because that can move the stock on its own. And sometimes that's all you need to do is just push a narrative into the media so that folks start acting from there. And Bill is thinking about this from the start of his career. He's from the beginning manipulating like media coverage in order to drive stock valuation in a way that helps him. And that's always going to be a thing that he does. It's a thing he's going to be good at and really bad at varying points in his life, right? And again, he doesn't break any laws here, but the fact that he is in the crosshairs and being investigated for a while is tough on him. He would later say, people look at you funny. I learned that it takes a lifetime to build a reputation, and someone can destroy it in a few days. And we'll put a pin in that, because he's gonna. But at this point, things are going well. It's the early 2000s. Bill has correctly predicted that MBIA is about to collapse, and it does fall apart not long after he makes a big bet. He basically like shorts it, right? And he and his investors make about $1.4 billion from this correct prediction that MBIA was about to fall apart.
Whoa.
Yeah, this is a lot of money, and Bill is going to just make more money from this point on, right? Like this is from here on out, his company and he are always going to have a huge amount of cash to play with. You know, whether or not he's like winning or losing, like the kind of momentum that you get with a win like this,
right,
kind of makes it impossible to stop. Or at least it means that he's going to have to fail a lot in order to stop having enough money to keep gambling, right? But Bill's initial relationship with his first partner, Berkowitz, falls apart around this time. And over the course of like 2003, 2004, he winds things up at Gotham. And in 2004, he meets several men that he takes on as business partners, and they start Pershing Square, a capital management firm or hedge fund based in New York City. And we'll talk about that and a lot more, but first, here's some ads.
This is George Severis
and Sam Taggart
from Stradiolab. Okay, picture it. Your apartment after a Saturday workout. The gym bag, the couch, maybe even the car. Mi amor, it's a full novella of odors, and not the glamorous kind.
That's where Febreze comes in. Boost, spray, spritz, plug, or clip. It doesn't just mask odors, it fights them, honey.
Want long-lasting scent you can control? Try Febreze Plug Scent Booster today. With the adjustable intensity dial, you can control the scent to match your mood. Plus, thanks to its Fade-Defy technology, your home stays first day fresh for up to 50 days.
Need a quick car rescue? Clip a Febreze car vent clip and map your ride to freshness. And don't forget the fabric refresher. While you can't cram that cushion in the washer, you can top off every pillow fluff with a spritz of fabric refresher.
Because home should smell like you. Fabulous, fresh, unforgettable.
Febreze is a proud sponsor of the Elton John Impact Awards, honoring those who have helped shape a more inclusive and compassionate world with their artistry, advocacy, and unwavering commitment to equality.
You won't want to miss the Elton John Impact Awards podcast, available June 1st on the iHeartRadio app and everywhere podcasts are heard.
Let's talk about modern home shopping. It's sort of become a fun side hobby, right? Scrolling listings at night, dreaming about kitchens you've never seen, or backyards you haven't even stepped foot in, all from the comfort of pretty much anywhere. Redfin knows a lot of people like you want to own, but are stuck in this browsing mode loop. That's where Redfin flips the script. With listings that update within minutes and tours you can book right from the Redfin app, you can see your dream home the moment it appears. Now, liking a listing is easy, but actually landing it, that's where Redfin comes in. Redfin has over 2,200 agents with local expertise. And Redfin agents close twice as many deals as other agents. That means they want to help you win, not just window shop. Redfin is built to help you go from just looking to wait, this could actually be home. So become the newest neighbor on the block. Visit redfin.com to start finding and start owning. That's redfin.com.
Hi, I'm Cindy Crawford, and I'm the founder of Meaningful Beauty. When Dr. Sabah and I decided to do a skincare line together, he said to me, we are going to give women meaningful beauty. And I said, that's exactly right. We want to give women meaningful beauty, which means each and every product is meaningful. It has a reason to exist. It's efficacious. You're going to get results. And then you just go out and live your life.
Meaningful beauty. Confidence is beautiful. Learn more at meaningfulbeauty.com.
You know what quality feels like. You can see it in the way a fabric moves, recognize it in a flawless fit, and appreciate it in the details that make our styles unique. It's the standard Coldwater Creek has honored for over 40 years, derived from a rich Mountain West heritage, and designed for today in styles that are distinctively Coldwater Creek. For a wardrobe you can count on season after season, visit coldwatercreek.com. Shop new arrivals and save 15% on purchases $75 or more with code IHEART.
Just to say, it is incredible how these rich assholes decide to name their businesses.
Yeah. I mean, Pershing Square, I guess it's like a kind of a bland, banal name, you know? It makes
But Gotham. You think you're Batman?
Little on the nose, right?
No, I mean, that's just a nickname for New York, too, right?
Yeah.
But it's probably Batman for them.
Yeah, I feel like most people just in like the world, they hear Gotham, they're like, oh, Batman. I don't think people are remembering the historic roots of it. There's like, oh, it's probably evil.
Yeah. No, it probably was a Batman thing.
How many I'm just thinking about Batman. Continue.
Yeah. For a time, success follows Bill. In 2005, his fund acquired enough of a stake in Wendy's that Bill got to do the activist thing in Wendy's. And he decides that, like, what Wendy's really needs to do is spin off Tim Hortons, which is this, like, Canadian coffee house, diner, fast food style chain.
Like Canadian
thing.
Wawa.
It's like an institution.
Yeah.
A Wawa or Starbucks, a little bit of, like, both. Yeah, very popular. A little bit of, like, honestly, a little bit of, like, Waffle House vibes, too.
Yeah.
It's like a whole thing in Canada. And he is successful in getting Wendy's to spin Tim Hortons off into its own, like, independent company. The board fights him at first, but they ultimately cave. And when Tim Hortons has its IPO, it's a huge success. And it nets $670 million for his investors in 2006. So, and this is where when we talk about, are activist investors good or bad for companies? There's certainly an argument to be made that they're good for, quote unquote, the economy, right? Depending on how you count that. But it's debatable as to, like, you know, obviously this is a successful investment for him and his company. They make a lot of money. Is this good for Wendy's in the long run? That's a lot more debatable, per the Minnesota Star Tribune. Though Ackman's investment in Wendy's nearly doubled in value, the stock has since slid to just $24 a share, below the $37 a share price Ackman paid. Some investors argue that by removing one of its fastest-growing units, Ackman left Wendy's in worse shape, as little more than a second-rate burger chain. So again, what does spinning off Tim Hortons really create in terms of value? It creates this short term because you're creating a new company doing an IPO. You can make a shitload of money if you're, you know, Bill Ackman in this, but is there a gain to the world in Tim Hortons being a separate spun up company? Or is it more, maybe Tim Hortons does a little better, but Wendy's is doing worse and people are losing jobs as a result of that, right? And for his part,
there's no consideration of like humanity in all of this. Like, the investors, but like, what about like, you probably had to close a lot of locations. That's a lot of people's jobs.
Yeah, and Wendy's, again, their stock price collapses not long after they fucking cash out. And for his part, Ackman blames the stock slide on the fact that the Wendy's board refused to take his advice on who to hire as CEO and instead picked a woman, Carrie Anderson. And he apparently disliked Carrie so much that he liquidated Pershing's entire stake after she got hired, which is right before the stock value collapses, and may have, you know, helped to spark the stock collapse. And by this point, Bill is enough of a name that him on like selling a bunch of stock could spark a sell-off, and him investing can drive a stock to soar, right? So it's possible. One thing you could conclude from this is that he makes a bunch of money spinning this off, and then when the company makes a lady he doesn't like CEO, he sells off his shit, and Wendy's is left in a much weaker position than they had been, and it's just kind of a result of Bill's arbitrary nature. You know, and it just
like, threw a little tantrum.
Who's better off? shareholders and fucking the people invested in Pershing are. Bill's better off. Is the world? I don't think so.
Thank God.
Yeah. Now, again, depending on your attitude, how you think about business, you could look at this as Bill being brilliant or Bill being a fuck up. You know, that's a moral question. What I can say for sure is that Bill does not stop and reflect on whether or not what he made was the right call. He made money, and that means he gets to keep rolling more dice. Here's the Star Tribune describing one of Bill's next big activist investments. One of Ackman's next targets was Ceridian Corporation, the Bloomington human resources firm. Ackman recalled his first meeting with Catherine Marinello, Ceridian's CEO, as frightening and one of the worst meetings of my career. Ackman said that Marinello, who he noted wore inexpensive jewelry and clothes to the meeting, spoke at length about her plans to grow the company through acquisitions, an idea he opposed. He also recalls that Marinello said she already had enough money and that her strategy for growing the company was not driven by a desire for personal enrichment. And Bill is like offended by that. He's like, can you believe she doesn't just want to make as much money as possible? And she's wearing cheap clothes and cheap jewelry. Like, this is the worst meeting of my life. I had to sit next to a lady who wasn't dressed like a rich person. Like, is really how he kind of describes it.
Like an affront to everything he stands for.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
It's really, and like,
how dare
the level
she?
of fear, it like, she says she has enough money? Like,
God, like for that moment, that deep bottomless pit inside of him, he glimpsed it and was like,
there's more? That can't be right. That can't be right.
The void stared back for a minute and he did not like that.
No, I'm not going to stare into that void anymore. I should also note here, this is just the second case of this, but so far we have in short order 2 specific instances of like Bill developing irreconcilable differences with female executives. Might be worth making a note of that.
I mean, the man who bought Wendy's is not a feminist icon.
Right.
It's
not shocking. Poor Wendy.
Very funny.
What did she do to him?
Yeah. Here's what Bill said about Catherine. She was proud of the fact that she had no economic ambition. That's disconcerting to a shareholder. And I guess so, yeah, but I don't know that she had no economic ambition. She might just have not felt the need to, like, obsess over maximizing short-term profits at expense of like the long-term health of her company. That might have been how she would have framed it. I don't know, Bill. So Ackman owned about 15% of the board, and he pushed to get his people onto it. And his goal was, I think, to convince them to spin off the most profitable division into a separate company, right? Again, it's like people always say, activist investors totally different from these like corporate raiders who just come in and like strip a company for parts. Okay, well, what do they do whenever they, buy their way into a new company? Well, they strip it for parts. They spin off the most profitable division into a separate company to make a bunch of money off the IPO. It's like, wow, really creative. You really identified a problem no one else could see, that they hadn't done the thing that everybody does when they're stripping a company for parts yet. Anyway, it seems like, from what I can tell, Bill loses the fight, right? He's trying to convince them to spin off the company's most profitable division, but the CEO that he hates because she's not money-focused enough fights back on him. And the company takes its own advice, and the company does basically like what Marinello thinks is the right idea, and sells itself to a private equity firm for $36 a share. Now, this guarantees Bill and his investors a huge return. They make like a 50% return on investment because of the move this lady makes. And it's not exactly not being obsessed with profit to sell your company to private equity, like what she's doing. But Bill is livid because it's too low. He could have gotten more. And I just think this is him having issues with a woman doing the thing that he wanted to do. I think if Bill had walked the company through a 50% return here, he would have crowed that this was a big win. But because they don't do it the way he wants to, and this woman gets her way instead, and it still works out really well for him, I think Bill gets pissed. That's my interpretation. Maybe I'm being so unfair, annoying. But that's my read of this.
This broad with her cheap jewelry making decisions that benefit me. How dare she?
Yeah, how fucking dare she?
So likely misogynistic on top of racist. Got it.
Maybe.
Racking him.
Allegedly, maybe.
He hasn't said anything racist. He's just really concerned with fucking not enough poor white people getting into Harvard as opposed to rich non-white people.
I mean, big advocate for the Polish community, I guess.
A big advocate for poor Polish guys, Bill Ackman.
I'm sure he was very familiar with that community living in Chappaqua.
Yeah. So, by some accounts, Bill's most impressive and significant success as an activist investor was his 2008 move to stake a big claim in General Growth Properties, or GGP. This was a risky move because GGP was in the business of owning and operating a fuckload of malls, right? This is a company that owns a bunch of malls. And come the aughts, malls aren't doing great, right? It's not the best time in the world for malls, you know? I think we can remember that trend starting to happen. And to make matters worse, General Growth was operated and owned at the behest of the Buxbaums, which were one of the oldest and moneyed families in the United States, right? The Buxbaums get into this more than a half a century ago. They start this company, and the last of the family to act as CEO, John Buxbaum, presided over a staggering 97% drop in stock value. He is a fail son of all fail sons. What...
I have like a visceral twitch every time you say Buxbaums.
Buxbaum, yeah.
I'm like, whoa.
Yeah, that's a rich asshole name right there.
Yeah,
that's like a beautiful blue blood like fail family name.
But it also sounds like something you buy at the cash register at the liquor store at the same time.
It's the perfect like rich asshole sitcom character
Buxbaums.
name.
The Buxbaums. Yeah, the Buxbaums. Yeah, it is a good name for like a like a bonbon, like a chocolate treat.
Yeah, or like a buzzball crossover situation. You know.
Totally.
So yeah, John Buxbaum, this failed son, he buzz bombs. Yeah, when he takes over the family business, their 25% stake in GGP is worth $3.2 billion, and by the end of his tenure, it's worth $116 million. Like,
oh no,
he's really bad at this. So Bill sees this company is flailing. It's clearly not being managed well. And GGP is like this is like an ideal situation for an activist investor, because what you really do have here is a company that actually has, and Bill accurately sees, their fundamentals aren't bad. They own a bunch of real estate. They own like a bunch of businesses that are functioning. The issue is that they're managed by idiots who have tacked on a shitload of debt for very shady and stupid reasons, and it's made it impossible for the company to function, right? So this is a case where Bill accurately sees, I actually could just come in here, fix a couple of things, and make the company worth a lot more. And so I'm not going to bore everyone with a long economics explainer. This is a case where what Bill does works well, and the whole activist investor thing is as big a success as it can really be. Bill's fund injects some investment money into the company to kind of rebuild some stuff. The creditors get paid off, and the company goes through bankruptcy without liquidating properties or doing mass layoffs. The stock price rebounds from 34 cents a share to more than $30 a share in a pretty short period of time. And Bill and Pershing Square make off like bandits and can arguably be said to have done some good at the same time. They avoid layoffs, so people keep their jobs. This is everything working as well as it possibly can, right? This is not going to be every investment that we see Bill come into, right? But this is going to be like, some of them. Sometimes it does work.
Incredible.
It doesn't work every time, but it is going to work kind of one more time. Although this next big success is a success of Bill's company, but he doesn't have anything to do with it. So in 2011, Pershing Square makes a hostile acquisition of a bunch of stock for Canadian Pacific Railway, and they execute what BuzzFeed reporter Mariah Summers called one of the greatest activist investing campaigns in history, adding more than $25 billion in value over just 2 years. And again, this is a very successful investment that Bill's company makes, and it really does turn things around for this Canadian railway company. Bill is not behind it. He is not the guy planning this. The mind behind all this is a Pershing Square executive named Paul Hilal, who spotted structural issues and how the company was like working and drew up a proposal to fix those issues, picked a CEO candidate, and like masterminded like the rebound of this whole company. And during the same period of time where Hilal is executing this masterful turnaround of Canadian Pacific, one of the great activist investor case studies in all time, Bill is failing miserably to do exactly the same thing to one of the most storied names in American retail, JCPenney Company. And we're going to talk about how Bill helps to kill JCPenney's. But first, we're going to end this episode and let Kim plug her pluggables. Kim?
Yay. Do you want to tell our viewers and listeners about your books, Kim?
Yes.
Oh, that's right. Plural. Yes. I have, I mentioned the kids book, like YA. I'm not precocious 8 up to 14 young readers edition. It's basically like a radical labor history book for young people. And it's a spin-off, I guess, of my first book, it's back there somewhere. Fight Like Hell, The Untold History of American Labor, which is basically like a marginalized people's history of labor in the U.S. It's specifically focused on women workers, Black workers, Indigenous workers, Latino workers, Asian workers, sex workers, incarcerated workers, basically every type of worker you can think of who doesn't necessarily get top billing when the media talks about labor or unions. There's not that many white guys with hard hats who like have bad politics in there, I will say. There's lots of other labor books that have that if you want some of that, but my book's a little different. And I'm working on another book right now, which is also very different because it's still about labor, but it also is about the circus.
Ooh, excellent.
Yeah, the sideshow.
Well, check out Kim's books. Check out Kim and check out part 2 of these episodes where we continue with the tale of Bill Ackman helping to murder J.C. Penney's. So, right. All that and more.
Oh my God.
When we're done. Go away.
Bye. Behind the Bastards is a production of Cool Zone Media. For more from Cool Zone Media, visit our website, coolzonemedia.com, or check us out on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts. Full video episodes of Behind the Bastards are now streaming on Netflix, dropping every Tuesday and Thursday. Hit Remind Me on Netflix so you don't miss an episode. For clips and our older episode catalog, continue to subscribe to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/@BehindTheBastards. We love about 40% of you, statistically speaking.
You know what quality feels like. You can see it in the way a fabric moves, recognize it in a flawless fit, and appreciate it in the details that make our styles unique. It's the standard Coldwater Creek has honored for over 40 years, derived from a rich Mountain West heritage, and designed for today in styles that are distinctively Coldwater Creek. For a wardrobe you can count on season after season, visit coldwatercreek.com. Shop new arrivals and save 15% on purchases $75 or more with code IHEART.
Your social media feed delivers plenty of advice, but it doesn't know you. It doesn't ask questions. It doesn't give physical exams or order tests. Doctors do. At the American Medical Association, we believe the best care starts with a real conversation with someone who understands the science and your unique health. So stay curious, ask questions, but when it's time to make decisions, make them with a doctor. Learn more at amahealthversushype.org. That's amahealthvshype.org.
This is Tamra Judge from Two Teas in a Pod with Teddy Mellencamp and Tamra Judge. Tamra here. As you know, my dog Rugby is like one of my kids, and I don't play around when it comes to taking care of him. Chewy is where I get everything he needs. He loves food, so always stocking up on treats and toys from Chewy, which my husband Eddie likes to buy for him. It always shows up fast, which is exactly how I like things. Chewy also handles the serious stuff, prescriptions, pet insurance, and the telehealth vet visits. And now they're opening up vet clinics across the country. And their 24/7 customer service, they just understand pet people. Plus, with Chewy's 1-year satisfaction guarantee, trying new things is never stressful. Chewy just makes caring for Rugby easier, and that matters to me. For life with pets, the answer is Chewy. Save $20 on your first order with free shipping at chewpanions.chewy.com/teapod.
This is Lala Kent from Untraditionally Lala. Ready for a hot take? One thing the math really ain't mathin' on lately is international travel. Like, why sit on a plane for 14 hours to get to Lake Como when you could be having the time of your life at Caesars Republic in beautiful Lake Tahoe? All the splendor of Lake Como without all the low-vibe nonsense that comes with international travel. No long flights, no passport hassles, and no jet lag. Caesars Republic Lake Tahoe has it all. Incredible dining, amazing entertainment, gaming, fun on the lake, and more. It's right in your backyard. Caesars Republic Lake Tahoe. Book today.
This is an iHeart podcast. Guaranteed Human.